Welcome to The Explainer. I am so thrilled to have you here today because we're stepping into some of the most haunting, mysterious shadows of human history. I want you to close your eyes for just a second. Picture a massive, bustling city. People are trading in the streets, kids are playing, smoke is rising from the hearths. Okay, now imagine a sudden, deafening silence. The smoke clears, the people are entirely gone, and the city is just abandoned. It sounds like a scene from a sci-fi movie, right? But it isn't fiction. This exact scenario has played out over and over again.
So what actually happens when a civilization vanishes overnight? It's the kind of question that just stops you right in your tracks, isn't it? Imagine waking up one morning to find your entire world flipped upside down. The magnificent temples you worshipped in, abandoned. The roads you walked on, completely empty. Those lively marketplaces that once echoed with thousands of voices have suddenly turned into absolute ghost towns. There's no warning, no forwarding address, just silence.
Cities go silent. History fades. The mystery begins. I think these three short phrases perfectly capture our innate human fascination with what I like to call historical cold cases. Because really, these are the ultimate unsolved mysteries. When a massive civilization disappears, they leave behind these sprawling ruins, cryptic artifacts, and wild legends that just continue to captivate us. How does a thriving society literally just stop existing? Let's find out.
Let's jump into Section 1, Vanish Without a Trace. Here we're going to look at our first set of suspects and really focus on the sheer, mind-boggling scale of the mysteries we're investigating.
Okay, let's dive into this. We're investigating three absolute heavy hitters of the ancient world today. First up, the Maya in Central America, where experts are still fiercely debating if it was a brutal drought, internal warfare, or disease that brought them down. Then, look at the Indus Valley civilization over in modern-day Pakistan and India. Over 4,000 years ago, their cities had advanced drainage and urban planning that rivals anything else on the planet, until climate change or economic collapse seemingly just emptied them out. And finally, we have Easter Island, way out in the isolated Pacific Ocean, where rapid deforestation and outside disease brought an incredibly abrupt end to their society.
Let's zoom in on the Maya for a second to really understand what we lose when an empire falls. They possessed unbelievably advanced astronomy and complex calendars. They built these towering, massive pyramids deep within the jungle without an ounce of modern technology. They thrived for centuries. But the absolutely crucial mystery here is their sudden abandonment. Almost overnight, at least in historical terms, their great cities were just handed back to the jungle. And what makes this even more fascinating, the Maya people themselves didn't completely disappear. Their descendants are still living today. It was just the powerful empire itself, that whole societal structure, that collapsed so abruptly.
Sometimes, though, the decline isn't a complex political puzzle. Sometimes it's just terrifyingly sudden. Let's move to Section 2, Erased by Nature.
79 A.D. This is a heavy, dramatic anchor in human history. It's a date that marks a day where the sky literally turned black and a thriving, wealthy city was completely wiped off the map.
Unlike the gradual mysteries of the Maya or the Indus Valley, Pompeii vanished in the blink of an eye. First, you have the incredibly violent eruption of Mount Vesuvius, with almost zero warning. Second, the entire city was rapidly buried under thick layers of volcanic debris. We're talking ash, lava, and deadly poisonous gas. And third, thousands of people died within hours, perfectly frozen in time. Entire families just trapped under the ash. For centuries, the whole place was hidden underground. When archaeologists finally dug it up, they found homes, food, artwork, and people's final moments preserved perfectly. Walking through Pompeii today, it literally feels like stepping into a world trapped in amber.
Now, what's really interesting about this is how we as a species process the idea of sudden destruction. Take Pompeii, cold, hard, terrifying historical fact. Now contrast that with Atlantis, Plato's famous legend of a powerful, hyper-advanced island civilization that was swallowed by the sea in a single day and night. Plato claimed this happened because the people became too greedy and corrupt, and it angered the gods. Now, we still don't know for sure if Atlantis was inspired by a real Mediterranean disaster or if it was purely a legendary warning, but it really highlights how deeply, fundamentally terrified we are of being erased overnight.
But, nature isn't our only threat. In fact, it might not even be the biggest one. Let's shift our focus to Section 3, Collapse from Within, the slow burn decay of great societies.
Follow this tragic timeline with me for a minute. Centuries ago, the Rapa Nui people on Easter Island carved these absolutely massive giant stone statues, the moai. How a small, isolated civilization moved those behemoths without machines? Still a total mystery. But then came the turning point. Trees were being cut down way faster than they could ever regrow. This massive deforestation led to, well, actually, it led to a complete and severe resource scarcity, and eventually, the final collapse. Food shortages sparked intense social chaos and conflict, which was then drastically accelerated by outside diseases and slavery brought over by European explorers. They literally consumed their own foundation.
Or think about Petra. This wasn't some isolated island. This was an incredibly wealthy, bustling trade center carved directly into the red rock cliffs of modern-day Jordan. Traders brought silk, spices, precious goods from all over the known world. They even had brilliant, highly advanced water systems. But as global trade routes slowly shifted over time and a series of earthquakes damaged their infrastructure, this magnificent hub just slowly lost its importance. It faded away. It became a forgotten desert ruin, a lost city that stayed hidden for centuries until it amazed the world all over again in the 19th century.
And that brings us to another completely monumental date, 476 AD, the year the mighty Western Roman Empire finally officially collapsed. This event proved one very terrifying fact to the entire ancient world. Absolutely no empire lasts forever.
Rome ruled vast, sprawling territories across Europe, Africa, and the Middle East. They had the most powerful armies, crazy advanced engineering, and just immense, almost unimaginable wealth. But all those armies couldn't stop what was happening on the inside. The rapid spread of corruption, increasing political instability, and some incredibly severe economic troubles. It was only after all that internal decay that the pressure from barbarian invasions finally broke them. Their incredible wealth and power couldn't save them from crumbling from within.
Which leads us to a very deliberate pivot in our explainer today. We've talked a lot about the ancients, but what does all of this mean for us right now? Let's move to Section 4, Warnings for Tomorrow. When historians study these ancient societies, they see the exact same warning signs repeating across time. It's like a broken record: environmental destruction, political corruption, extreme inequality, economic collapse, endless warfare. These are the precise repeating factors that slowly eat away at and weaken even the most powerful, sprawling empires until they finally hit a breaking point. Let's draw a direct line here. We see ancient struggles, like massive droughts completely devastating the Maya and the Indus Valley, or deforestation literally starving Easter Island. Now, contrast that with impartial data on our modern global threats. Global rising temperatures, vast water shortages, and an enormous, almost unthinkable daily consumption of energy, forests, and minerals. The parallels? They are striking. Historical data clearly shows us that when resources become scarce, instability is right around the corner.
Consider this quote for a second. Modern civilization may seem unstoppable with advanced technology, yet ancient societies once believed the same about themselves. Since we have these massive megacities and instant global communication networks, we naturally just assume permanence. We think we're invincible. But history tells a very, very different story. Our modern networks are incredibly complex, which might actually make them just as fragile as the empires of the past.
So let's transition to our final section, Section 5, the ultimate mystery. Why do these vanished empires continue to capture our imagination so deeply?
Well, for starters, the investigation is far from over. Look at how we're uncovering the past today. It's wild. We're using satellite imaging to reveal massive hidden structures that we couldn't even see from the ground. Ground-penetrating radar is finding entire buried cities without anyone having to lift a single shovel. Archaeologists are still out there, actively searching dense jungles and the bottom of the ocean. New discoveries are literally constantly reshaping our understanding of history. The hunt for the truth of these lost people is very much alive.
But staring at all these ruins, it forces us to confront a major underlying philosophical question. I really want you to ask yourself, why do humans continue building these massive civilizations despite knowing that history eventually, inevitably, destroys them?
Hope. That's it. That one single word is the answer. Every single civilization believes it can overcome the mistakes of the past. Every new generation dreams of creating something lasting. Even when the greatest cities fall and mighty empires collapse, humanity just continues moving forward. We learn, we rebuild, and we search for meaning. We are an incredibly, stubbornly resilient species.
That resilience is so beautifully captured right here. The ruins of lost civilizations are not just symbols of destruction. They are mirrors reflecting both the greatness and fragility of human existence. The enduring art, the towering pyramids, the eerily preserved streets of Pompeii, they still speak directly to us today. They remind us of our amazing creativity and boundless ambition while simultaneously reminding us that power is temporary and nature is entirely unstoppable.
The civilizations we looked at today may have vanished, sure, but their stories survive to teach us. So I'll leave you with this final provocative thought to chew on today. When history eventually turns its page on us, what will our ruins say about us? Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep learning,